This is a program that's provided by and sponsored by the Berks County Area Agency on Aging. My name is Barlet, and I'm the Public Advocacy and Outreach Manager for the agency. We have a wonderful show today, two great programs that I really felt necessary to share with folks in our community, since I think they're programs that we hear less about. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce my two guests. To my immediate left is Lelinna or Lelinna Hinh, and she is the Foster Grandparent Program Manager, which is located at Alvernia University. Thank you, Lelinna, for being here today, and we'll get to your program. And my second guest is Ashleigh Mills, and she is the Social Services Clinical Manager for Tower Health at Home, and talking today with us about the Grandparents Raising Grandchildren program. So thank you, Lelinna and Ashleigh, for being here today. Appreciate your time and the wonderful information we're going to share. I think that these programs are so important and beneficial in many ways to people who are part of the program in different ways, and little is known about them. So again, thank you for your time. So the first program we're going to start with is the Foster Grandparent Program. And I'm going to first do a disclaimer that it is not somebody who wishes to be a foster person, a person taking in children and fostering them. Although that's in the title, it is a grant type program, and you can tell us more, but I think I like the title that you have as part of your promotions, Share Today and Shape Tomorrow. And it's all about helping children, helping them thrive. I like that, shaping them for tomorrow by helping them with some academic and life skills as they're maneuvering through, whether it's a program through Head Start or in the schools or after school programs. So Lelinna, thank you for coming and sharing information about the Foster Grandparent Program. Just give me, if you will, a little bit of a background of the program.
Well, I just want to say thank you, Ann, for having me on the show today.
Thank you.
So basically, the Foster Grandparents Program, as Ann had mentioned, is not about grandparents fostering children. What my program does is they have grandparents that go out into the Reading School District to the elementary schools, and these grandparents will help students academically, behaviorally, just making sure that they are able to pass each grade, especially if teachers are noticing that they're behind in reading, mathematics, and things like that. And so that's what the Foster Grandparents Program is about, is basically getting grandparents into these schools who are then now fostering these children to become academically better as the school year goes on.
And this is not a new program, right? This has been around for quite some time.
Yes, it started in the 1960s by the federal government when they realized, oh, a lot of our retirees are looking to do something, especially when, I understand with seniors who are getting better in age, looking to do something. Mm-hmm. And so this is a program that gets them out in the community, that also gets them talking to other grandparents who are doing the same things. So not only are you having a fostering community with the children, you're also having a fostering community with other grandparents that are in the program.
So my question is that we're saying foster grandparent, mm-hmm. but it's really more so that it's seen by the children, mm-hmm. as perhaps a grandparent helping them, making that connection, right? They don't have to be an actual grandparent of any kid in any of the schools or any of the locations, right? Okay. I just wanted to make sure, because it's a win-win, as I see it, for the child, the student, as well as the adult helping. And I think that's a great way to have somebody who likes working with children. Yeah. And they don't need to have an education background per se. They don't need to be a retired teacher to want to do this, right?
Exactly right. I actually have one foster grandparent. She was actually in the Reading School District for a very long time, but she was their lunch lady.
Oh, okay.
And so she retired about a few years ago and decided, I really want to go back and do something. And so she went back to the Reading School District because she really wanted to
And miss
work.
the kids, probably.
Yes. Oh, yeah. She always talks about how she's so happy that she found this program because she gets to go back into the schools.
Yeah. So let's talk first about, I guess, who is eligible to participate as a foster grandparent in this program. So give me some of the eligibility criteria.
So some of the eligibility criteria is you have to be 55 or better. As long as you are under the, there is what I would say, you have to be under 200% of the poverty level. So this is basically based on what your income is at, too. So that is something I do look into. You have some, or you're able to get around. And even if you can't get around, I do offer BARDA passes or BARDA Specialized that they can get to the schools. And that's kind of like the big gist of just to be able to be part of the program. And I look at every criteria. So there's an application that you can fill out, and as long as you're 55 and better and you're able to do at least a minimum of 10 hours a week, I can look at your application.
So I'm going to repeat again. I only need to be 55 or older. Mm-hmm. I have to meet the financial eligibility based on an income level, and want to pretty much help the students thrive.
Yes.
Whatever that be, whatever setting the person may work. Mm-hmm. And I use that word, I guess I should not have used the word work. So we need to clarify that, right? This is a volunteer program.
This is a volunteer program. However, you get a stipend every 2 weeks. Okay. And that stipend is literally what it sounds like, a stipend. It does not affect your wages. It does not affect any housing eligibility nor your Medicare. And this is untaxable. So basically, the hours that you work is the money that you're getting paid.
Okay. And so let's repeat then the requirements of what you're asking the volunteer hour-wise to give again in a week's time?
I'm asking for a minimum of 10 hours a week.
10 hours a week, okay. Yeah. And that could come then in a couple hours each day?
Exactly.
Or a full day, maybe 2 days of the week, depending on, that would be dependent on the circumstance, the school, the need, is that right? How do you determine that, I guess, based on the person? Is it the person can give so much, or they say, hey, I'm open, schedule me wherever you want? How do you determine that?
Well, Anne, the way I determine is actually between the grandparent and the school. Okay. The schools, a lot of the Reading School District are very understanding, and they understand that there's only so many hours that they can give, especially, they still want to enjoy their retirement. So I have some foster grandparents that do about 3 to 4 hours a day, 4 days a week, or some that just does a couple hours each week for me. So part of the program is very flexible, because what we're just trying to do is get everyone in the community to work together and get everyone out of their houses and to help these children who are looking for a lot more of what is just love. Because there are some things that these children do not always get at home, and this is what the foster grandparents provide too at school. Mm-hmm. And I know I've been talking about more academic, but the mental and the emotional is also there, because there's a lot of kids in these schools who run up to the foster grandparents like, oh, grandma, or grandpa, so happy that you're here. Are you going to help me with my spelling or my reading today? Yeah.
So give me examples then of what the foster grandparent would do from there's some preschool kind of placements as well as elementary school placements. Kind of give us a little bit of what the foster grandparent might do based on where they're placed.
So we're also partnered with BCIU. Okay. And so they're in the Head Start program. So with those programs, they're just helping kids get better at their reading or getting their behavioral under control, because there's some kids that can always sit still. So the foster grandparents, I've been told, give them a look, and they're
as only a grandparent probably could.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so that's for our Head Start program. But if we're talking about our elementary school students, that is reading. Learning their ABCs, mathematics, and so that's typically from kindergarten to whenever 6th grade. Okay. That's how they typically are teaching. Okay. But the teacher will pick a few students that they notice that are a little behind on certain academia, and they'll put them with the foster grandparent for a few hours, and then it rotates, and that's how the elementary school works.
Okay, so it's really a concentrated, identified, somebody is having is struggling maybe in a little area, and that with that focused individual,
Yes.
At the foster grandparent, to be able to really help that student to really get a better grasp of whatever it is, whether it's the reading or the spelling or the addition.
Yes.
Okay. And really that's going to help them so that they can move forward, that they can continue their learning and move forward with the next grades and
Yes,
levels.
and a lot of my foster grandparent, their main goal is to make sure that the child that they're helping is able to keep up with their peers and then move on to the next grade.
Okay. Okay. And I believe there are some after-school programs too.
There are
As part of this?
There are some after-school programs that we do have. Not a lot too much because, as you know, with COVID, they're starting to slowly open back up again.
Okay.
But I know right now, Glenside, I'm hoping to put 2 foster grandparents in their after-school program that does reading.
Okay.
And I recently just picked up another site at Salvation Army who does have an after-school program right next to Tyson, and they're looking now for grandparents who can help at after school or over the summer, summer camp.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. So after school would still be some of the problems with learning in the school, but then the summer, so there are some summer opportunities if somebody
Yes.
wanted to continue year-round
Yes.
in the program. And what do they do then at the summer camps?
The same thing. It's my understanding when I talk to Salvation Army. It's just having kids have a place to go when their parents are at work. Because we know that with what's going on with schools and stuff, we have a lot of parents that cannot always be there for their child. So what Salvation Army is now helping, from what they've been telling me, is it's a full day, and they are it's Monday through Friday, and they just take them in, and the foster grandparent can come out and just help and just be with them and help them with activities and things like that. Because I know they were saying that there's a little gym in there that they can all do little exercises and stuff. Or
Well, that
crafts.
benefits all of us,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Certainly we could exercise together.
Exactly, and that's and they'll do crafts and the snack
Oh, okay.
time and lunch and things like that. So
But I think there's probably a lot more that is learned, I'll use that loosely, shared during those things between the youth, child, and the foster grandparent in terms of even just learning manners and the rights and the wrongs maybe, in addition to what they're working on, don't you think?
Exactly. And as I said, it's not always about academia. It's literally because we know these parents are just, they work a lot. They have to. So a lot of these foster grandparents give them that care and comfort that they don't always get when they're at home, because mom and dad's busy cooking and chores and things like that. So not only are you getting some academic, you're getting a mental love, an emotional love, and we're not always allowed to hug, but
Well, and it certainly benefits the foster grandparent as well, because they could potentially also be somebody who's home alone. And that certainly is support coming back to them
Yes.
in those times with that hug or that, recognition that here's the person helping me and I'm here helping you and you're helping me. So
Exactly. A lot of my foster grandparents have told me it's what gets them up in the morning. It helps them feel so much better going into these settings, because it is love on both sides.
right. You mentioned also about, if they can't get there. So I guess I want to find out where some of the placements might be. You mentioned Reading School District. Is it focused in the Reading School District, or do you have some in some of the outlying areas? And then, if I don't drive, how can I do it?
So yes, it's as of right now, it's very concentrated in the Reading School District area. So a lot of the elementary schools are around this area. As of right now, my understanding with the outliers, since COVID, some of them backed out because it was just something that they couldn't always get done. So, but I have 2 ways of getting foster grandparents who are interested if they cannot drive. They're given a monthly bus pass, which I fill every month.
Okay.
Or second, if the specialized BARDA, which there's an application to fill out, but typically, I believe, please don't quote me on this, it's typically if you're 65 and over, you can fill out the application and just explain like why you need specialized BARDA. And what specialized BARDA does is they pick you up from your house and bring you to the school and back again.
Okay, good. So in I guess I'll ask for a final wrap up here in terms of some other benefits or anything else that you want to mention, either on the foster grandparent or the child, or both.
So for some of the benefits the foster grandparent will get is you get the stipend. There's something called 10 benefit days, which is like paid time off. So if it's, whether you're sick or you just want to go on a little vacation, you get 10 of them every 6 months. And if you don't use them up by the 6 months, that whatever's left over will be accumulated into the paycheck, and then the next 6 months you'll get an additional 10. So that's some of the benefits there. And I think the benefit of just for both the grandparent and the children that we'll be helping is just, as I said, the love and the care that each of them have for one another. And I know every year, from what I've been told, they get a little like teary because they're moving on. They're moving on.
It's a good thing. That's a good thing. Yes.
And exactly, it's a good thing, but it's a bittersweet thing for them. But they're always ready to pick up the next set of kids that are coming through.
And that's wonderful. And I think we see it as a win-win all the way around, and what a wonderful program. So I think we have the contact information we can put on the screen. If you are interested in learning more about the foster grandparent program, getting a few more details, filling the application out, that is Lena's information, again, her phone number, and that they are located at Alvernia University. Give her a call, and hopefully consider the program, fill out the application, have an interview, and go from there and help a lot of students and yourself along the way. So thank you so much, Lelinna. Appreciate that. Great program. And now we're going to turn to an equally other good program. It is called the foster. It's called a couple, I'll say. The Grandparents Raising Grandchildren, or we may just call it the Grandparent Support or Grandparent Program. I've known it as Grandparents Raising Grandchildren, and a little easier for me to remember because it is kind of, in a sense, what it sounds to be. And so again, I'm going to reintroduce Ashleigh Mills, who is my guest. She's the Social Services Clinical Manager with Tower Health at Home, which manages that program among a few other programs. Ashleigh, before I start, I wanted to share something in preparation for this show. I saw, and I'm going to read a few statistics, in the AARP magazine, if I must admit I do get it, and it was a recent article called to Parent Again. And I think that's kind of what we're going to touch on the Grandparents Raising Grandchildren. The U.S. Census data shows that 7.1 million American grandparents are living with their grandchildren who are under 18. And about a third of the grandchildren living with grandparents who are the responsible party for them are younger than age 6. And some of those reasons, I think, are some things that we're probably aware of, and for whatever reason, it could be parental substance abuse, incarceration, or even death. We've seen a lot of that occur with COVID, and have found themselves without real parents anymore. But I found it interesting as we go right into the program, about half of the grandparents who are responsible for their grandchildren are 60 and over. So I think without further ado, let's get right into that program in terms of this and how we find, if you are in that boat, you are finding yourselves responsible for grandchildren. So I think we want to define really for this program some of the parameters as far as a little bit, give me a sentence about the program, and then I really think that we need to get to the eligibility so we understand that.
Yeah. Well, the first thing I'd like to say, Lelinna, saying that individuals 55 or better, aging better, I'm going to steal that. I love that because that certainly is also the case in our program. So the program overall, like you said, there's many unforeseen instances where a grandparent will be stepping into that role as a parent again. Very unexpected. They're usually on a fixed income. So it can be a strain on finances as well, which is a main focus of the program.
Okay.
It has many other good things about it, but it is heavily a reimbursement program for expenses that one might incur while raising their grandchildren. Now, it doesn't only have to be a grandparent raising their grandchild. It could be an older uncle, an older
Okay.
aunt, an older relative of some kind that is related through blood, marriage, or adoption.
Oh,
I
okay.
feel like that's
Okay.
really important to emphasize.
Okay. And so they're, and the grandchild, then is there an age on that?
Correct, yes, 18 or younger
Okay.
for that program. There's many facets to the program. If you are an older relative or a grandparent raising a grandchild that is between 18 and age 59 that has a disability, that would also fall under that umbrella.
And to clarify, the grandchild and the grandparent, and we'll use that loosely because
Yeah.
you just defined that it could be an older relative. Again, we'll use your example, uncle. They must live in the same household.
They must live in the same household. They must be the primary caregiver. It can't be, well, grandma takes care of her 8 hours a day while I'm at work.
Right, okay.
It has to be their primary residence living in the same home.
Okay. And I guess I want to find out, you said reimbursable program. So this is not something that there's no pay to that grandparent because they're raising the child, but there's some ways to receive financial reimbursement for some expenses
Correct.
that you mentioned that come along, we
Yeah.
all know, with grandkids that are unexpected. So can you give me examples of that?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
So yes, there is no stipend
Okay.
for being a part of the program. You would have to have those funds up front. And when we're talking about expenses, we could be talking about summer camp.
Oh.
We could be talking about school supplies, seasonal clothing, things of that nature. The list it's a long list, which is great. But you would have to pay for those expenses up front. We accept receipts up until the 15th of every month. And then those receipts are processed, make sure that they are appropriate for reimbursement, and then we cut a check. There is a cap on the program
Okay.
now, up to $600. So it won't be above that.
In a year's period of time?
A month.
A month.
That is
Okay.
a month. So,
Okay.
I mean, if I run that program, I'd find something to buy.
Well, I'm thinking, you know,
For your grandkids.
right now we're in the spring, so I'm thinking baseball, softball, summer camps, when the kids are very active.
Yeah.
And those things, even, you know, summer camps you have the theatrical summer camps, you've got the crafty summer camps, you've got the sports summer camps, you've got uniforms, things that go along with that. So that would be part of reimbursement.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Recreational activities, summer camp, they're part of an organized sport, that would certainly be reimbursable. It does cover the everyday items too,
Okay.
Especially if you have a younger child that goes through diapers like crazy, baby food, formula,
Oh, okay.
those things. I mean, we all know how expensive those things are, so to get
absolutely.
those reimbursed would
Okay.
be huge.
So really, everything from little, then we go to school and we might be wearing uniforms. Some
Prom
of the schools
dress?
require. Oh, really?
We've reimbursed
Okay.
for a prom dress at one point because that's a big expense.
Unexpected.
I just went through it.
And everything that goes with it,
And
right?
everything, the hair, shoes, nails, and the works.
So it's reimbursable for those programs, and you would evaluate that, and they would know what those items were that were reimbursable, and keeping those receipts for legitimizing that expense.
Yes.
Is there other things that are part of the program?
Absolutely. So you have a care manager in the program. So that care manager is with you the whole way, especially if you get confused about the receipts, so you need help filling out paperwork. But they're also a link to all the resources in the Berks County area. So programs like yours and the many, many other good programs that Berks County has to offer for both the children and the grandparent. So we link them
Okay.
to those things and then provide the reimbursement for those items.
Okay.
That's the bulk of it.
Okay. I mean, I can see some of that if they, depending on the circumstances,
Mm-hmm.
some of the students may need some particular guidance of some sort, guidance counseling or something.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Based on that. I also
Family
there's-
counseling also.
Okay. So everybody can.
Yeah, as long as if it's not covered through insurance, they require family counseling together, maybe because there has been a sudden and abrupt removal of a parent and they're struggling to connect in their new relationship and they need to get some family counseling. That's something that is reimbursable.
And
in the
knowing
program.
that's a 24/7 job, is there also anything that provides other than your normal, like I'm thinking you want to go away, you need some time off. Is there anything to assist with that?
We call that caregiver respite. So
Okay.
there will be times, I'm sure, that you need to get away or you just want to go to the grocery store on your own. There certainly are things that can be discussed with your care manager that are doable in the program to provide assistance with that as well.
So anything that I missed in this 1 minute before we make sure that we have the contact information, anything else that you think we want to share about the program, particularly Ashleigh?
I think the requirements are what usually is the sticking point. So we are making sure that it is an individual that is 55 or better, that they do have a legal relationship with a child through blood, adoption, or marriage, that they do live in the same household, and that they are that primary caregiver for the provision of care. Just really honing in on those requirements is the most important part.
Okay, so I think we have, again, the contact information on the screen now that you can give Tower Health at Home with that phone number of 610-288-2007 and ask to speak to somebody there with regards to the grandparent program, and they're able to kind of review those details again. Application, you're saying there's another application to complete, and probably a meeting, I'm assuming, to kind of review the details of the program, right?
There'll be an initial assessment. We'll have a care manager come out to your home, perform an assessment of the relationship between the child and the grandparent, and we base a lot of what we know about them and how we can help based off of that assessment.
Great. Oh, that's super. I thank you. We're just about out of time for today's show. So again, I want to thank Lelinna for sharing information with us about the foster grandparent program, and Ashleigh about the grandparent program. Two wonderful programs that if you need more information and you didn't get their contact, please feel free to call me at the Berks County Area Agency on Aging, which is 610-478-6500. I'll be happy to share their contact information with you. And again, thanks for tuning in to Aging Matters.